It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood from coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me is Panache Desai, a contemporary thought leader who is the author of the book, Discovering Your Soul Signature, a 33-day path to purpose, passion, and joy. Panache has appeared on Super Soul Sunday with Oprah Winfrey and was featured on OWN Soul to Soul, Asking Life's Big Questions. He has addressed the United Nations Enlightenment Society and was a speaker at the recent Third Metric conferences. Welcome, Panache. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Panache, there are so many powerful stresses in our daily life. Unemployment is on the rise. More and more people are getting sick. The divorce rate is skyrocketing. So much of our life feels like it's out of our control, and often we forget who we really are. We live in fear, we're anxious and depressed, and many turn to substances to make themselves feel better. What do you think is happening in our society today? Why are so many lost?
We live in a culture of judgment, and we've fundamentally been conditioned to move away from our natural state of being. And that's why Soul Signature is so timely and so important, because it's a call for us to stop perpetuating the lie and just to relax into who we've been divinely created to be, recognizing that no part of this is a mistake, that our anger and our sadness and our fear and our guilt and shame are a part of life and living, and that the more we can embrace these aspects of ourselves, the freer we become and the more our self-expression takes off. And in fact, what I've discovered is that at our core essence is this infinite reservoir of love. And that through the embracing of all of these facets of ourselves that we've been taught are wrong or bad, we can start to tap into this energy of love and allow it to inform our finances, bringing promotion and increase, allow it to inform our health, bringing health and radiance and luminosity, and allow it to inform our relationships so that we have the level of connectedness and intimacy that we truly desire.
So, Panache, is this soul signature individualized to each person? Is it like having your own DNA? What does it actually mean?
Our soul signature is absolutely unique. It's like we all sign our name using ink. However, how we sign our name is unique to us. And in that same way, our soul signature is our unique expression in this world. And our willingness to be that furthers our life, furthers our creativity, furthers everything that we want, and brings us into alignment with our heart's desire. As Joseph Campbell so eloquently shared, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. And Soul Signature is an invitation to come back to our spiritual DNA, to come back to our most authentic expression, so that we can be who we are and unleash the dormant potentials and gifts that have resided within us all along.
So how do we discover our soul signature?
Well, actually, that's why I wrote the book. It's a 33-day progression. And the book was born out of a question, and I was continually being asked, what was your journey? How can we embody this? How can we fully live this? And for me, none of us have ended up where we are overnight. We're literally the sum total of however many years we've been alive. And so this book is a 33-day progression. And literally the reader and the words on the page meet 3 times a day to start to step into self-awareness, self-acceptance, and then self-love. And literally we start with fear and we end with love. And so it's literally a journey out of judgment into acceptance, out of fear into love, out of fear, lack, and scarcity into abundance.
Why do you believe so many people live in fear? Why do we let it stop us from accomplishing what we're here to accomplish?
Fear is actually an active control mechanism that I believe is employed on purpose. Fear as an energy engages the reptilian brain. And when you look at most mainstream media outlets, the signal that they're sending out is fear-based. And what I've discovered is that as long as we're picking up that energy, there are only 2 modes of being that we have available to us, fight or flight. As long as we continue to allow fear to dominate our experience, the best that we can do in life is survive. And so fear is a natural part of life and living. When embraced, it allows us to flourish and thrive. And so it's not fear that's the issue. It's the fact that we succumb to it, that we still haven't evolved beyond our animalistic way of dealing with this energy. And so that's why I start the book with fear, to really empower people to embrace their fear, to recognize that it's an ally, to recognize its true purpose, and to understand that when fear arises, we're being called outside of our comfort zone, and we're being propelled on into more than we could ever imagine.
Is there a strategy you can offer our listeners right now that they can implement to try to eliminate some of the fear?
Absolutely. When you feel afraid, the first thing that stops is your breathing. It becomes very shallow. And so when you're present to your fear, all that's required is your willingness to breathe, to relax, and to allow the fear to wash through you. Emotions are nothing more than energies in motion. And as much as this applies to fear, it applies to sadness and anger as well. In that moment when you're triggered and these emotions arise, recognize that it's a window of opportunity for you to come into completion. Stop, slow down, and breathe. And allow the fear to shake out of you. Allow the tears to flow out of you. Allow the anger to just move through you until it begins and ends. Because literally we can experience everything inside of ourselves. And in doing so, we can end, our contribution to the pain quota of planet Earth.
So by letting it release and wash out of you, we're breaking that fear cycle.
Exactly. Consciously, when everything's embraced consciously, we naturally break every cycle. The only problem is in life that, we've never had modeled to us how to effectively deal with the parts of our humanity that we've been taught to judge and vilify.
Well, you talk about judging, Panache. We are so self-judgmental. I think we speak to ourselves in a way that we would never speak to another human being. So how can we become more self-loving and accepting?
By first of all, getting to know who we are, by beginning to accept every aspect of who we are, because self-acceptance is a precursor to self-love. And so the more we actually take the time to know who we are and begin to embrace who we are, the more we begin to love who we are. And then we break this cycle, of need of external validation and external approval. We stop living our life from the outside in. We start living it from the inside out.
Now, Panache, we hate change, and so many of us fight when it occurs. And sometimes it's positive, and sometimes it can be quite a challenge in our life. What opportunities do you believe can difficult times bring into our life? Why should we really learn to embrace change?
Change is always a positive. It's only ever carrying us into more. And the reason why we resist it is because we have been conditioned to hold on to whatever our version of normal is with every fiber of our being, even if normal is a health challenge, even if normal is a lack of financial security, even if normal are dysfunctional relationships. And so it is that for that reason that we must have the courage. And courage, of course, is not the absence of fear. It's acting in the face of it, to move on when change arises and to embrace change. Because change is always leading us into more. As demonstrated by nature, the grass is always growing. The trees are always flowering and then shedding their leaves. Everything in nature is constantly evolving and expanding, as is the universe. Why would that not be true for us? The part of life, it's a beautiful thing. And the more we can flow with it, the more we'll realize the expansive nature of who we are and live our best life.
Panache, when we're moving through some of these difficult times in our life, how can we access the deep peace within us, no matter what type of chaos is going on in our surrounding environment? How do we find that really deep inner peace?
By resting in the awareness of your breath. When you can just simply, in every moment, observe the fact that you are breathing, life becomes a living meditation, and you begin to access a peace that passes all understanding. So no matter where you are, whether it be in the boardroom, whether it be in the kitchen, whether it be in the carpool lane, dropping off your kids, rest in the awareness of your breath. Literally, it will firmly anchor you in the moment, and you'll start to access a spaciousness and a peace and a presence that's always been there.
What about when we're in a rut, when life has become so mundane and so routine, and we really don't feel like we have any purpose? How can we break free from that type of thought process?
Well, there's no such thing as a rut. A pause isn't a mistake or a misstep. It's an opportunity for us to work everything out inside of us. Our thoughts don't create our reality. That's an absolute lie. If our thoughts created our reality, we'd be in absolute trouble. And so what I've discovered is actually our energy, that in order to shift your life, you have to change your energy in order to change your life. And where this change needs to be affected is on the emotional level, because our emotional content is informing our thoughts. And our emotional content is actually what keeps our personality or this illusion of separateness in place. And it's this emotional content that holds the beliefs that we hold dear in place. In the absence of this emotional content, we would simply observe the thoughts as they just floated on by like clouds in the sky. And so everything is an opportunity to go deeper. And it's important now for us all to go a lot deeper because we're just scratching the surface.
Panache, what strategies can you offer that sum up what we've been talking about today, that people can implement that will make a difference in their life tomorrow?
There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not wrong. You don't need healing, and you don't need fixing. It's time now to just relax fully into who you are and to live that unique expression instead of making yourself wrong for being different. Celebrate the fact that you are, because it's that difference that allows you to be the contribution that you are here to be.
The book is Discovering Your Soul Signature, a 33-day path to purpose, passion, and joy by Panache Desai. If you'd like to get more information, you can visit his website, panachedesai.com, and you can get a copy of his book, which is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Panache, in about 30 seconds or less, what would you like our listeners to leave this interview with?
I love you, and I thank you for loving me.
Thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing this wonderful message about rediscovering who we really are at our core and bringing that into our everyday life so that we can, as you say, find our purpose, our passion, and our joy.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit CYACYL.com and be sure to tell your friends. We all want to live happy, productive lives, but sometimes we just need a little help. Our Coach on Call experts provide strategies to help you live your best life now. Joining me today is Karen O'Sullivan, a health coach and founder of Appetites for Life. Karen supports women who want a positive connection with food and with themselves. Welcome, Karen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Karen, we've been hearing a lot lately about the dangers of eating a diet that's high in sugar, and just about everything we eat has added sugar, and in some cases a ridiculous amount. And some experts claim that we are addicted to sugar, and they say that it is as addictive as cocaine. So why, in your opinion, is sugar so harmful?
This is definitely a hot topic lately. I mean, I suspect that people will continue to debate this topic and discuss it for a long time because people around the world consume large amounts of sugar, and it's almost impossible to avoid. As you said, it's added into almost everything, and sometimes a lot of sugar is added into things like yogurt or even spaghetti sauce, or places that we don't even suspect that it would be. Refined sugar, as in the powdery white stuff, is not only addictive, which is one of its harms, but it also depletes the body of essential nutrients such as B vitamins and calcium, and it interferes with the body's immune system, their cellular function, and your blood sugar levels. Too much sugar can lead to diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, and other chronic inflammatory diseases that we see so much of these days, especially in our country. Also, eating sugar on a daily basis will lower your ability to fight off germs, compromising your immune system. So is sugar harmful? Yeah, I would say yes. Perhaps it is the most dangerous thing that we have in our modern day diet because it is everywhere. And one thing to definitely mention is that when people are dealing with cancer, it is a very dangerous element because sugar feeds cancer, and cutting that out of your diet completely could be one of your best defenses. But Joan, sugar is such an addictive substance, and some people are even calling it a recreational drug, as you mentioned. So cutting it out will be difficult for people, and may not even be considered by others. So we all have very, very strong attachments. So it could be an uphill battle to cut out sugar.
So, Karen, we're not talking about the natural sugars that occur in fruit, are we?
No. I mean, when you are referring to sugar, as you see in the media these days, most people are referring to the white refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup, or other refined sugars. And they should be avoided as much as possible, because these substances do nothing to benefit your body, and they contribute to the inflammatory illnesses, as I mentioned, like heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, and even cancer. The natural sugars in fruit, and also in maple syrup and coconut sugar and dates, etc., are also sugar, but they retain nutrients and antioxidants, and they're mainly unprocessed. So the body knows what to do with it. For example, molasses is a great form of B vitamins, and coconut sugar is a rich source of potassium, magnesium, zinc, and iron. But it is best to limit your sugar intake overall. But if you need a sweet, these are great alternatives. If you're someone who suffers from candida or yeast overgrowth, which many people in this country do, for a short time, all sugar, including fruit and other sugar sources like the maple syrup and the other natural sources, should be avoided until the situation is under control.
So, Karen, sugar is obviously an important part of the American diet. How can someone cut back or cut out sugar without feeling deprived?
Well, as I mentioned above, some people have very strong attachments to sugar. I've had several clients come into my office and declare that they will do anything to lose weight or improve their health, but they will not give up soda, or they will not give up their chocolate candies. The attachments to sugar and sugary foods are not only physical, but they're also emotional. And sweets usually signify happiness or good memories, so they're difficult to let go of. Very often, in order to cut the sugar habit, we need to deal with the emotions that feed that habit. But to cut back on sugar and not feel deprived, I first recommend baking or using natural sugars I mentioned above, the maple syrup, coconut sugar, honey, molasses. All of these can be substituted for the white, powdery processed sugar. And they're gentler. They have a less of a sweet taste, a little bit gentler on the body. And your body knows what to do with them because they're not as processed. You may have to do some Google searching to try to find some new recipes, but you will find plenty of recipes out there. And I really encourage people who are trying to cut back on processed sugar to start to incorporate the natural sugars and find some new recipes to work with. You can also start to eat more fruit. You know, if you're someone who doesn't eat a lot of fruit and you eat a lot of processed foods, then start incorporating more fruit into your body, and that will provide you with the energy that you crave. That energy is typically causing you to go to that processed food and that processed sugar. So the fruit will support your body in a more natural way. One thing I do have to caution, Joan, is that, you know, when people start cutting back on sugar, they start incorporating more artificial sweeteners into their bodies, and these things are just substances, they're chemicals that don't benefit the body either. So definitely use the natural sweeteners.
Karen, can a healthy diet help to overcome these sugar cravings?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it happen time and time again, that adjusting your diet, adjusting your lifestyle will change your sugar cravings. And switching to a healthier diet helps you overcome sugar cravings on several levels. One, by adding more nutrient-dense foods such as vegetables, leafy greens, and whole grains, you are better able to stabilize your blood sugar, which prevents intense sugar cravings and crashes. Two, you will give your body easy to recognize and process nutrients for longer lasting energy throughout the day. Three, you will begin to change your cells and their composition. And this is important to remember, that we are what we eat. And what we eat becomes our cells, our tissues, our skin, and so forth. So putting nutrient-dense whole food into your body will result in a healthier you all around. And one of the first things that my clients notice when they cut out soda or sweets is a change in their skin. It looks healthier, acne clears up, smoother. Some people even say it glows. And your skin is an outer expression of what is going on inside of you. And the last thing that healthier diet can help you overcome sugar cravings is, as you make these changes, your taste buds will adjust, and you no longer will crave or need that fake sweetness that's in processed food. All humans will crave sweet from the start. I mean, breast milk is sweet. That's how we're started out, in a sweet flavor. But processed sugar is very sweet, and we have gotten used to that, and ignoring other flavors like sour, astringent, and bitter. So eating a healthier diet will reprogram your taste buds, and you'll begin to crave more of the other flavors and less of sweet. I've seen it happen time and time again. People have refused to give up stuff, and they come back a couple weeks later. They don't even mention the soda anymore. They don't even mention the cookies anymore. They've completely dismissed their need for them. It's really fascinating to watch.
Karen, thank you so much for being here with us today and for providing this valuable information about a very hot topic, eliminating sugar from our diet. If our listeners would like to get more information, you can visit Karen's website, appetitesforlife.com. We'll be right back.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, is a very common condition in the United States. It is diagnosed more often in boys, and it is a chronic health problem that requires ongoing management. So what healthy habits should you follow to help? Hi, I'm Dr. Lynn Corrigan. Start with diet. Avoid artificial colors, sweeteners, and preservatives in your food. And avoid pesticides. Try to eat organic as much as possible. Add omega-3 fatty acids to your diet. The omega-3s decrease depression and anxiety and can improve grades. So eat fish twice a week or take a supplement. Improve your sleep. Try melatonin, chamomile tea, or lavender aromatherapy to get your needed rest. And exercise vigorously for at least 30 minutes every day. Exercise helps the body and the brain. Use calendars, lists, and schedules to get organized. Don't spend more than 2 hours in front of electronic devices daily, and don't spend time around tobacco smoke. And work on stress management. For more information, call 201-487-4600 or visit us on the web at theactivecenterforhealthandwellness.com. Live well and be well. I'm Dr. Lynn Corrigan.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, take part in the book club, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.